At past 7:30, 7:45 on the day after an election, I'd be wanting to ask you what you want to see from the new government, but it seems almost premature to ask that, to talk about this, because we don't know who the new government is going to be. What are your early thoughts this morning?
Well, so yes, I think business is pretty stunned by this outcome. The one thing we do know is there's going to be a hung parliament, and that creates uncertainty on top of uncertainty that already existed, and that is not good for business. So what firms want more urgently than anything else is for the new government to form a functioning administration, a real eye on financial stability, putting the economy right back up the agenda. The world is watching. We need to signal very rapidly that we are pro-enterprise, open to business. It's not a time to put the brakes on.
One of the problems here is that we could find ourselves in another electoral cycle, I guess, pretty soon. Business would not welcome that, I guess.
Well, business is resilient. I mean, I think we know that from what we have seen from the referendum. The economy has a fair bit of momentum. We're still seeing lots of investment coming in to the country. So I think we can feel confident that business will deal with uncertainty, but let's keep it to a minimum. And there are some foundations that we need to keep on addressing here around skills and innovation. We mustn't be knocked off course by that. So I think business, once we're through these early days, will be looking to a recommitment to the big things to fix our some of the productivity issues in our economy.
You've always told me that Theresa May has been listening, that she has, businesses have been to visit, and you've been to visit, and you've been to visit members of the government as well, members of her leadership team, and talk to them to try and shape the agenda. Have they really listened? And do you want to, if we are talking about a new team here of some complexion, do you want them to re-engage with business? Has there been a lack of engagement in this process?
Well, I think this is a real opportunity. I think the government has been listening. We've seen lots of examples of that. But I think this is a time for government and business to really step up together on the biggest problems of our time. There's some real heavy lifting to do around, for example, Brexit. And we have offered to set up business Brexit task forces. Business has so much experience to bring in the big challenges. The same on getting our skills agenda right. The same on how we get to innovation at levels that the rest of the world matches. So this is a time, I think, for real listening, real partnership, and businesses everywhere, I think, are really up for doing that.
Theresa May says Brexit means Brexit. We don't know if Theresa May is going to be leader of the Conservative Party or Prime Minister by the end of the day, let alone the end of next week. Do you want to see the conversation about what Brexit means reopened? Do you think, George Osborne has been saying this morning that hard Brexit has gone in the rubbish bin, in the trash can. We're no longer talking about a hard Brexit. What does business want to see on that front?
Well, I think from the point of view of business, nothing has changed between yesterday and today. The goal of a comprehensive free trade agreement, barrier-free trade, access to people, regulatory certainty.
Doesn't that mean staying in the single market and the customs union? Doesn't it mean pushing for a simple model, an off-the-shelf Norwegian model, for example?
So we have always talked about outcomes. Business wants outcomes, and that means for us barrier-free trade, making it easy and certainly no harder for businesses.
That's to avoid the politics, I guess. But wouldn't it be simpler for everybody if we just and save time if we tried to go for one of those more off-the-shelf models now, if things are up for changing?
There are several ways of getting to barrier-free trade. I think what we need to remember, though, is the clock is ticking. We are in the time frame now where this is going to lead to exit in 2 years. So the most important thing now is that we get the leadership team together who can engage with the European Union and get the best outcome for our economy. So much depends on it. So we need that leadership really out there very quickly.
What are if we are talking about more fiscal spending, because some people, Jeremy Corbyn has said that this has been an election actually about austerity and not about, he suggested it's more about that at least, rather than about Brexit. So if the new government, whatever it looks like, is looking for a fiscal boost, where would business want that to be spent? The skills agenda is one thing.
Well, I think there is a lot of cross-party support for some of the big issues around skills, technical education, road, rail, digital infrastructure. These are terrifically important things we have a productivity problem in this country, and we need to really get cracking on those. At the same time, fiscal stability will really matter, and the importance of remaining a pro-enterprise, pro-market economy is something that the world will be watching, and it is not time to put the brakes on.
Yes, as you say that a few times, the world is watching, and we're slipping down the world rankings in terms of growth. amongst the G7, we've actually slipped in the first quarter, haven't we? How does the UK economy look to you?
Well, it's really interesting. I see real resilience and actually some exciting investment going on. I think actually the UK could really lead in some of the industries of the 21st century. We're seeing great investment going into the northeast in terms of carbon transfer. We've got life sciences in the northwest. If we can get this phase right, get through this period of uncertainty right, I feel very confident that we can have an economy that creates jobs across the country, not just in London but outside. But we've got to get this right. It's got to be pro-enterprise, it's got to be pro-market, and it's got to be open to the world.
Carolyn, thank you.